While working in a project, you may wish to disable certain elements from being selected. This can speed up the modeling process as you don't have to worry about inadvertently selecting objects. No matter which ribbon is the active ribbon, the Modify tool always appears on the left in the Select panel. The Select panel is actually an expandable panel. In order to see the selection settings, expand the Select panel. As you can see, there are 5 options, each with an associated checkbox to enable or disable the option. These options are Select Links, Select Underlay Elements, Select Pinned Elements, Select Elements by Face, and Drag Elements on Selection. If the associated checkbox is selected, then the selection method will be enabled. For example, if Select Links is selected, then you will be able to select any linked files in the project. However, if this option is deselected, you will not be able to select linked files in the project. Be aware that these options also appear on the right side of the status bar as a toggle. There is a button for each option that can be toggled on or off. When turned off, a red X will appear on the button. I'll make sure each selection setting is turned on. In this project, I have a linked Revit model. Since Select Links is enabled, I can hover my cursor over the link, view the tooltip, and then click to select the link. But most of the time, once you link in a file, you do not need to select it. I'll click in blank space to deselect the link. Then I'll click Select Links in the status bar to disable that option. When I expand the Select panel, you can see that Select Links is disabled. Now when I move into the drawing area, I cannot select the linked Revit model. The link will not even highlight, and a crossing window will not select the link. Pressing Tab will not work either. So as you can see, with Select Links turned off, you cannot select a linked file. However, you can still snap to the elements in the linked model. To see this, I'll start the Wall tool from the Architecture ribbon. With the tool active, I can move over any of the elements in the linked model and the appropriate object snap will appear. So be aware that you can still snap to linked files even when the Select Links option is turned off. Next, I'll switch to the Level 2 floor plan view. Looking in the Properties palette, you can see that Level 1 is set as an underlay. For that reason, the walls from the first level are visible in this view, and they can be selected since Select Underlay Elements is enabled. However, when I click Select Underlay Elements in the status bar to disable that option, I can no longer select the walls from the first level. I'll switch back to the Level 1 floor plan view. The Select Pinned Elements option works the same way. With the option enabled, I can select the north wall even though it is pinned. But when I disable the option from either the status bar or the ribbon, I can no longer select the pinned wall. Be aware that when you create a curtain wall, the curtain wall components are automatically pinned. Therefore, the curtain panels, grids, and mullions are pinned since they are defined based on the curtain wall type. Disabling Select Pinned Elements will allow you to simply select the curtain wall and not individual components. The last 2 selection settings work a little differently. To see how Select Elements by Face works, I'll switch to the default 3D view. To select a wall, I can simply hover the cursor over any portion of the wall, a face, or an edge, and then click to select it. However, when I disable Select Elements by Face, the only way to select the wall is by moving the cursor over an edge. With the cursor over a face, the wall does not highlight, meaning it cannot be selected when you click. You cannot use a crossing window on a wall face to select it either. The window must cross an edge in order for it to highlight. Lastly, drag elements on selection allows you to drag an element without selecting it first. You may think of this as a press and drag option. Typically, when you drag an element, you select it first, then move the cursor over the element until the move symbol appears, and finally press the left mouse button as you drag. But with drag elements on selection enabled, all you have to do is press and drag once the element is highlighted. In order to avoid accidentally moving an element when you select it, you should disable this option. To see an example where this could cause problems in your model, I'll first enable Select Elements by Face. Typically, there are hundreds of walls in a project. That means there are several faces to select. So if your cursor was simply over a wall face and you wanted to use a window selection, when you click and drag your cursor to create the window, you would actually drag the wall you clicked on. So be careful when enabling both Select Elements by Face and Drag Elements on Selection.